"Go ahead," she said, smiling as she pushed the papers toward me. "You built nothing without me anyway." The conference room smelled faintly like fresh ink and polished wood. Her lawyer slid a pen across the table, a pen she chose herself. My wife leaned back in her chair like the victory had already been announced. "Sign it, Ethan," she added. "Let's end this." I picked up the pen slowly. The metal felt cool against my fingers. Of course. My name is Ethan Caldwell. For 16 years, I built a business empire that my wife Rachel believed was just as much hers as mine. But Rachel never asked how the money actually moved. She never asked where the patents were filed, and she never wondered why I insisted on signing every contract with my own company's pen. 3 questions hung quietly in that room. Why did her lawyer suddenly look confused when I signed? Why did Rachel smile when the ink touched the paper? And why was that pen the most valuable object in the room? Rachel thought the divorce papers were the end of my story. What she didn't know was that the story had already ended months earlier. She just hadn't read the final page yet. Rachel and I met in 2008. I was 27, an engineer with a prototype and $38,000 of student debt. Rachel worked in event marketing. She was confident, social, and she could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with 10 friends. She liked ambition. I liked building things quietly. We married in 2010 in a small Denver courthouse. 2 witnesses, 1 borrowed camera. At the time, I had just started a small manufacturing company called Caldwell Instruments. We didn't make luxury pens. We didn't make decorative pens. We made precision signing pens used in legal contracts and corporate transactions. Most people never notice the pen used to sign a deal, but law firms do. By 2014, we landed our first major distribution contract, 40,000 pens a year supplied to corporate legal offices. Rachel celebrated by buying a $22,000 car. By 2017, the company was bringing in $3.6 million annually. Rachel quit her job. She said it made more sense for her to manage the lifestyle. And for a while, that seemed true. Vacations, dinner parties, interior designers. By 2019, we were living in a $2.4 million house in Cherry Hills Village. Rachel loved telling people she helped me build the company. Technically, she lived inside the results of it. The first crack appeared in October 2021. Not a fight, not an argument, just a casual question at dinner. "Why are you always using that boring company pen?" she laughed. I answered simply, "Habit." She nodded and went back to scrolling her phone. That was the moment something became clear. Rachel had spent 13 years beside my work and never once asked how it actually functioned. The truth didn't arrive dramatically. It arrived because a stranger sat in the wrong chair. February 17, 2023, Chicago, Hotel Conference Bar. I was attending a legal supply convention when a gray-bearded man in his late 50s sat beside me. He noticed my pen clipped to my jacket. "Caldwell Instruments?" he asked. I nodded. He whistled. "You realize your company makes half the signing pens used in corporate law firms." I smiled politely. Then he said something odd. "My daughter works for a private investigator in Denver. Funny thing, she mentioned your name last week." I kept my expression neutral. "What about it?" He shrugged. "Some wealthy woman hired them to document her husband's assets. Said the guy owned more companies than he realized." He took another sip of whiskey. Then he said the name casually. "Rachel Caldwell." That was the first discovery. 2 weeks later, my lawyer, Daniel Harper, called me. Daniel had handled my corporate filing since 2011. His voice sounded careful. Ethan, someone subpoenaed financial records tied to Caldwell Instruments. Who? Your wife. Then he added something even more interesting. She believed the patents are under your personal ownership. I opened the drawer beside my desk and looked at the documents inside. Filed April 12, 2018, under a company Rachel never heard of, Northgate Holdings, LLC. That was when Daniel discovered something else. Rachel's private investigator had already drafted divorce filings months earlier. She wasn't planning a conversation. She was planning a financial extraction. She intended to take half of what she believed I owned, half of something that legally was never mine. When Daniel finished explaining everything, I didn't react. I simply said one thing: send me the paperwork. Beat.